Hello one and all, and welcome to another video on the YouTube channel of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and as always, we are joined by Ethan Daffy. If you were watching the intro, I made another fuck up. I left the ticker on, so I apologize about that. You already know what we're going to talk about, and you probably would already know what we're going to talk about by checking the thumbnail and the video, title of the video. But it is a conversation and a sort of a quick update that Daff and I thought that we would come on very quickly and just do a quick video about, and it's about Charlie Curnow. So Charlie Curnow had his exit meeting today, Daffy boy, and reporting from Tom Morris. So we don't know if it's 100% true, but obviously Tom Morris is a very good journalist and he gets a lot of things right. And usually, if it's something of this big of substance, usually it's correct. Now the tweet is Charlie Curnow had his exit meeting today at Carlton Football Club. He raised the prospect of a trade, but it was immediately shut down. So I know your thoughts, and I want to throw straight to you about what you think about this. But this whole story is now huge, because if he now has the mindset of I want to request a trade, but Carlton is saying no, we can't afford to trade you out of the club. I don't want to play like that in the club for 2026. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear your thoughts about this. So, Daffy boy, first things first, how are you as always? But your first thoughts about this.
I'm very well. I don't know how to feel right now. It's I kind of saw, I was going through Twitter or whatever, and then it kind of popped up Tom Morris. I saw Curnow. I was like, oh, this won't be much or whatever. And then I read it again. I read it a few times just to make sure my head was kind of around what was going on. I thought, was it someone else has raised it and the club shut their down, but they've actually shut him down, Pato. And I completely supportive and in full agreement of, I don't know if we should be keeping a guy like that around. If that's the mentality, if that is his mind, and I'm not against him wanting to leave. Like, of course, I'm a bit shitty because it's, he's had a terrible season. We've had a terrible season, and he just wants to jump off and go live on the beach, right? I'm not really against that. That's not really my thinking. But my thinking is in terms of the footy club's perspective. If I was in Graham Wright's shoes, if I was in Nick Austin's shoes, once I heard those words come out of Curnow's mouth, whatever words it was, it wouldn't have been like, I want out, but it would have been like, oh, what is the chances of, a trade? I want to, get away from the Melbourne lifestyle. Immediately, straight now, I'd imagine they'd be thinking, going, we need to be sorting out what we want in return for this. Because in my opinion, we can't go into next year with him in the football club, which is an unbelievable thing to say from me. I don't know if it is. I'm not sure. There'll be so many different point of views. But in terms of a question back to you, Pato, what are your thoughts on what I just said in terms of I just don't think it would be good for the supporter base, the mentality of the football, their playing group, for a guy who's, he's 80% in. I'd say he wouldn't be 50-50 in. I'd imagine if he played next year, he would be in. But it's just like, in the back of your mind, the whole of next year, if we're not playing well, you know what's going to happen again. It's going to be deja vu again.
It's so funny that the year that he had in 2025, and now all of this is breaking with what he kind of went through after the North Melbourne game, when he rocked up with a bicycle, and how we were kind of very unimpressed about that, and how he was kind of conducting himself in the public, but also game day. Yeah, like you're wearing the Carlton, literally Carlton not merchandise, the uniform. And like you're wearing stuff like that, and you conduct yourself in a way that you are in the public eye. It's game day, and you're rocking up like that. I completely agree. I feel like we can't have a guy like that around the club, and I feel like he's been half-assed all year. Yeah. And I don't know if that is a big call. I don't know for sure. That's the thing. We are only here to give our opinion. But with what we see from the external point of view, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't think Charlie Curnow this year has been full 100% in, as he has been in past years. And it's actually quite confronting, because I don't know if it's the Carlton culture and all these players are wanting out or seeking a trade or seeing the possibility of a trade because of the culture of the club, or Charlie is just not too impressed with his lifestyle at the moment and he wants to live on a fucking beach. And I'm sorry, I think that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And once again, I'll go back to what I was saying about Jack Savani, that I still stand by the arrogance and entitlement. I think that's a little bit of entitlement about Charlie. I think the way that he goes about it, you're a professional footballer, the amount of privileges that you have as a professional footballer, which is great.
Yeah.
To be that. And I know that these guys have to go through a lot more than what we are normal people. I know that. But you are it's not like Charlie Curnow didn't choose this path. He was the guy that wanted to be a professional footballer. He's now turned out to, he signed the contract. He's done all these.
Yeah.
So now that you've signed the contract, you actually need to fulfill the contract. But now as soon as the times gets tough, you choose to leave. I'm not a huge fan of that. And I know that Carl Toomey was reporting on Footy Classified, I think it was Monday night, about as soon as Carlton give the green light to Charlie Curnow, Curnow will be requesting a trade. So now it is actually Charlie isn't really
in control.
I think Charlie wants out, in my opinion. I think Charlie wants out, but it's if Carlton will let him. And once again, it goes back to the question where it's Michael Voss's 2026 is his last contract signing year. So he needs a big season or else he's gone. So I don't think he can afford to lose Curnow. And if we were to lose Curnow, we need a substantial trade in return. And I'm not talking about draft picks, Daffy boy.
No.
If he goes to Sydney, I'm calling out Gordon. I'm calling out Warner. I'm calling out Heaney. Even Papley to an extent, and have a first round and send back our way. So now we can transition, and I want your thoughts on all of that about what I just said about Carl Toomey as well, because now Carlton, if Carlton were to give him the green light, it looks like Curnow would probably make way, but also about what a trade would look like if Curnow was to request a trade.
It's bizarre. It's moving quickly and it's getting really interesting. And we've spoken about this before in terms of what would it take to get rid of him. And I think you are spot on. And Cal Toomey did say on Gettable that Sydney do not want to get rid of Heaney, Goulden, and who was it? Warner. And
Blakey as well.
We don't want fucking Blakey. We don't want fucking Blakey. Let's be real. He's not going to be part of a fucking Curnow trade. Let's be really a fatto. But in terms of the other three, well, sorry. So you want our star player? You're going to have to give us a star player.
Spot on.
And for me, it's Goulden. That would be. I don't think Heaney goes. I'm not saying Heaney and Warner aren't superstars, but Warner, it's a risk because I know he wants to head back to WA at some stage. I think Goulden. I know Goulden and Heaney are both from Sydney, which doesn't help the bloody case, but it's ridiculous. If they don't think they don't have their little superstars are safe in their team, and you want our superstar, that would just be absolute rubbish. And I think your point in terms of Michael Voss's contract year as well, but also not even about Michael Voss. This list, we want to be challenging next season. We want to be pushing the top 8.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if it's Michael Voss's first year. It doesn't matter if it's his contract year. The mentality should be, obviously, we've got young guys, games into young guys, but heading into next year, we want to be winning games consistently, Pato. So the return has to be massive. The return has to be massive. And if a guy like that is leaving, that opens up more salary cap room. And in my opinion, this would be my ideal move, Pato. Errol Goulden absolutely has to be a part of this trade. I think he's the biggest need out of all. I'm not saying, of course, if they go, oh, here's Heaney, I'm not going to say no, right? He's only a year older than Curnow. But in my opinion, Goulden, he's got that beautiful left foot. He's had a bit of a, obviously he's come back from injury, so he's had a bit of a, season, but he's a 2-time All-Australian at 23 years old. He can play in the middle, he can play on the wing, he can kick goals. We've spoken about it a billion times. We do not have this type of player. So in my opinion, the only way I'm accepting this trade, unless it's just something else ridiculous, is Errol has to be a part of this trade. Yeah. I'm not sure what else has to be. Obviously, there has to be picks involved as well. That's just how the trade game works. But he has to be, in my opinion, the main piece. He has to be the piece in that trade to get it done. Otherwise, I'm not saying yes, unless they're giving up 22 of their players.
Yeah. One of them might be Hayden McLean and Joel Marnie. Even an Ollie Florent. But
if I hear any of those names involved in that trade, I'm not even picking up the phone to whoever the Sydney Swans list manager is at the moment.
I just having a quick look as well. So Errol Gordon is signed till 2020 to the end of the 2028 season. So he is contracted. So that means that it's going to be harder to get him out of the out of the club. But also, Charlie's contracted.
Yeah, so it works out well. It works out well.
So,
yeah.
And I love what you said because I know that I mentioned it after the West Coast Sydney game, how Errol Gordon did look a little bit unimpressed. And I know he's been playing.
Don't get me too excited here.
Yeah, literally, I had the exact same reaction when you were saying about a beautiful silky left foot, and I'm like, imagine that alongside Walshy and Cripper in the midfield.
Well, seriously, like we're having a laugh about this, but I will say it again. I will say this again for the last time on the record here. If you want our superstar forward, you're going to have to give up one of those big three.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Gordon is the one I would want.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not going to say no to Heaney. I think Warner's a risk because he has the not risk as in on field. I think he's a star.
Yeah.
But I just think he has the risk of leaving. Whereas Gordon, if he leaves Sydney, goes to Victoria, I think, and he's let's. I know this is not usually a big deal. Was a Carlton supporter.
Yep.
Errol Gordon, a big one, in fact. And he said he didn't enjoy the time supporting the club because he said he used to leave games crying. Well, Errol, you can fix that. If you put on a navy blue jumper, mate, seriously, this is where it's at. And I think the possibility of Charlie going now, Pato, is percentage-wise, I'd love to know what you think. I'm going to say 75% chance he's gone.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not that high. I just feel like the trade is unrealistic.
Yeah.
The trade is unrealistic. So I'm on the side of I feel like now, unfortunately, the player management will have a huge play in this. Because I personally think that they are now more important than the list management. Because they, unfortunately, the players have the right, the right to go ahead of if they want to leave, they can leave, but if they want to stay, they aren't going anywhere, which I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like eventually the AFL needs to transition, and I know it's kind of down to the AFLPA and how that is kind of run, but I'm just not a huge fan about how these players are, once again, quite entitled about, no, I'm not leaving, but it's like, well, you're employee of the club. It's not like you own the club. You're an employee of the club. But I am seriously thinking it's probably 25%. I'm on the other side because I just don't think there's a trade out there.
Well, I think the best way that it can be done if it's a three-way trade, which tends to happen a lot for these big ones, where I think Horn Francis was involved in a 4-team trade when he went to Port Adelaide, and there was a few picks going each way. West Coast were involved. It was all over the place, and people probably don't know that, but it was certain picks go each way, and then they use that pick for Horn Francis, and they want that pick and that player. It's all over the place. I think it'll be a case of that. Whether it's, I don't know who else is involved. I'm not going to say any team, but that might be a better way to do it. Sydney might go, fuck. Maybe pretend they go, okay, we want to give this player and this player, but Carlton want another pick. Or they want a pick in return or a second rounder in return, but Carlton need to get off another team. So that's kind of how it might work. I'm not going to say it's a mega team trade, but it might be a 3 or 4 team trade to get to work around that to help the deal get done. But like I've said, I don't think they're going to be working unders Carlton. I don't think they're going to let him go for unders. I know Graham Wright's a very stern taskmaster. So, he's walked into a fucking, what is going on? He's walked in and gone, geez, what is going on here? But in terms of what you brought up first, I really liked your point in terms of the culture. I don't think it's the culture. Cripps, Wiedering, Walsh, they're the 3 leaders of our club. They want to stay, and they've made it known if you do not want to stay, you will go.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go out, do they? They don't want to leave. They don't want to leave. Walsh is he's 1 year away. I know they're the leaders and you've got to say that, but they're still saying it, Pato.
Yeah.
Charlie's
a leader. Charlie's a leader.
Yeah, he's not saying it. So that's my point. It's a stark difference. And I'll tell you what, if he's playing Carlton next year, I'd almost strip him of the leadership, to be honest. Because if you're a leader, you're trying to lead the rest of the group and you want to leave, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth for next year, Pato, if he is playing. And he'd have to prove me wrong. And he would have to play out of his fucking skin next year if he's at Carlton, Pato. Otherwise, not even just us, but just the whole Carlton community will jump on top of him, in my opinion. And I said it'll be the deja vu again, and he'll leave at some point.
Yeah, I feel like now this is a huge sort of cloud over the Carlton Football Club's head, because I feel like now heading into next year, if Charlie Curnow was to stay with all the things that has happened, like even this year with what happened last year, wanting out and him not really performing to the best of his ability, questions are asked about like if he's really giving his 100% effort. And unfortunately, I think Charlie Curnow is one of those guys that he needs to perform at 100%, because even if he's at 90%, he's nowhere. Like there's a stark difference between that.
Yes,
you can tell. So when it's, say if it's Cripps, he can play 75% fit and it still looks like he's 100%, because the way that he plays is just so bullish that you don't really realize when he's injured and when he's not injured. But with Curnow, I just feel like when he isn't at his 100% best, he gives up very easily. And that's always been a conversation. I don't think that's an outlandish call to really say. So yeah, I'm nervous about this, because now I've always wondered why this conversation is always still there when Curnow has come out in the public saying, I'm staying. I don't know why it's still a conversation. Once again, he was car stopped the other day saying, like, what's your update?
That didn't fill me with much confidence.
Yeah,
him in the car. It was a bit of he was having a laugh. He was that's my, in terms of what you just said about his mentality from 100% to whatever else. Even in his best years, like he can just switch up that and he just doesn't look like the player he is just because of his mentality. And I think he just sometimes relies on his talent. And you look at guys like Harry Mackay, who works his ass off and cops heat. So that'll be my last point. But I agree in terms of his 100% and whatever else, is the gap is just major.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Now this is out there, and it's now official that he has spoken to the club. I feel like a trade gets done, but I just don't know what happens there, and I really don't want Carlton to fall and say, "Oh, okay, well you want out, and I guess we'll have to find a way, and we'll accept a second rounder and a first rounder for Charlie Curnow." I don't give a fuck. 2026 is a massive year. Like they've once again said 2027, we expect to win a flag by then. If that's without Charlie Curnow, that's fine. But you need to find other assets to win this fucking flag. Because if you don't, that's a problem. That is a problem. Charlie Curnow is a massive part of this football club. And I want him to stay. And I want him to come out today in the media or tomorrow in the media saying, that is complete false news. I am staying at the football club, and I don't know why I need to keep repeating it. Instead of him joking around saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure. I'll leave it to the management." If you leave it to the management, they make up the shit as well. So I want you to actually say it, Charlie. And that's the thing; he won't say it. And the more he
because that means it's real. Because that means it's real.
Exactly. The more he keeps quiet, that's when you know that it's real, and it's really unfortunate. So that's probably last point on this. If you have anything else, but before we wrap up the this quick video, what's your kind of final thoughts on Charlie, and if you think potentially this could be real and what that could really mean for next year?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be at Carlton next year based off that. I know they shut it down, which I actually really like. I want to make it so hard for that trade to get done.
Yeah.
I want to make it like to the last minute of the trade period and go and just make sure we suck out any value we can get out of this. Like you just said, no accepting. People will burn Icon Park down if it's nothing less, if it's something less than, you know, something that's actually his value. Otherwise, it's just like you said, leaves a massive hole. So in terms, it will leave a massive hole, but then you got a massive bit of cash to throw around. So a lot to play out, Pato, but I think we've covered it very well.
Yeah, no, very well said. I know it's about time, but yeah, like that's a very, very good point. This is my last point as well. We have cash to splash. So now, if we want a Gordon, we can afford it. If we want a Zach Butters in a 3-way trade, we can afford it.
Yeah.
Seriously. So it's actually crazy. And now we might see a light without Charlie in there, but also if we do keep Charlie, like, as you said, you need to prove to the supporters and the club that you are 100% in for 2026. But to every single blue bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this YouTube channel, Baggers Chat. We really do appreciate the support. And as we said, there definitely will be a lot of videos like this coming your way through trade period. Just because the season was so shit, definitely I thought we would repay the favour and try and get some more content out that's a little bit more positive or big breaking news like this. But Also make sure to check out our socials as well. We're well and truly trying to keep active on that through the trade period. But to you, Daffy boy, I'm sure I'll see you very soon with some news next week about Paddy Cripps requesting a trade to the West Coast Eagles. It's every single blue bagger out there.
The Baggers.
Baggers.